So I was hoping to do this next video a little bit more outdoors, a little more nature and stuff. Take a little bike ride on the Greenway. Um, but unfortunately, it looks like my distance to the Greenway is a little limited. Um, yeah, it looks like the Greenway, large portion of it is closed by my place, so gonna have to make it a little bit shorter distance this time. But I won't. There's still stuff I want to talk about in this video, so I'm still gonna do that. So I want to talk about toxic masculinity, and I'm not gonna have this camera pointed forward as much because I wanted to be able to kind of focus on what I want to talk about a little bit. And there's not really much to say, just a pathway. Anyway, so toxic masculinity. It's such a controversial topic. Some people are like, oh, it doesn't exist. Some are like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's just, just part of who we are, part of who men are. Possibly, I would suspect that women could fit the trait of toxic masculinity as well. I mean, after all, the notion of toxic masculinity is simply, being aggressive, fighting and battling others just for the sake of doing it for dominance. It's a matter of achieving dominance is the main thing, and it's very ego-centered and defending your own ego kind of deal. Like it's very like, in a sense, it kind of like comes from a primal place, if you will. And I personally don't think it's just men who could fit this description. I think it could fit for women too in some cases. It's a sensitive thing that needs to be discussed and talked about. And if you are aware of or experienced it, or want to talk more about it, like the video, and definitely subscribe if you want to see more of these videos, because I want to start doing a little more of these outdoors as the weather's getting a little better. But I want to get some of you guys' or girls experiences and perspectives regarding this idea of toxic masculinity. And of course, if you don't feel comfortable sharing your piece, because I know this is a very public platform, and some of you may not really know me, so I understand if you have some resistance to sharing some. But at the very least, I want people who are open to it to at least like this video, just to show your support of not being potentially against toxic masculinity. So I think it leads to a lot of behavioral and mental health problems for people, men or women. But I think it targets men a little bit more so, because early on growing up, we are taught not to express our emotions, to hold it in, be a man as it was or is, and just to anytime you have frustrations with something, deal with it on your own, handle it like a man, do it with your own tools, your own methods, defend yourself, protect your ego, things like that. And that can be something that's harmful for especially us men growing up, because we're not really taught how to express those emotions, how to let go of them, to work it out. Because just like pressure bottles, the more pressure you put into it, it'll eventually reach the limit and explode. It's the same thing for that with men and emotions. The more we hold in our emotions, the more we don't let it go, talk about it, express it, the more it builds up inside. And just like any pressure, those who remember their chemistry classes from the day or not, that pressure's got to go somewhere. The emotions are the pressure of the soul, of the mind. The more the emotions build up, the more they need to go somewhere. They're not going to just disappear on their own. And a lot of people these days, men or women, they typically use alcohol to suppress those emotions, and essentially their way of trying to make it go away. But it never goes away until you talk about it, work it out, express it, and then eventually you start moving on from it. But it's that important piece that I want to touch on. The main part of this video is communication. It starts with communication. That's the biggest way to work through it, is talk about it, express it, let it out. And that's something that us men are not good at doing. We're not good about talking about it. We're not good about letting it out, expressing it. And that's something that we need to get a little bit better at doing with practice. Talking to our friends, family members, whoever it may be, to let it out, sort it through, discuss it, work through it. Because otherwise it's just going to build up. We're going to try and find some way to let it out, some way to express it. And all we've learned growing up is to be aggressive, to be physical, to lash out, whatever the case may be, as our way of dealing with it, of working through it. Growing up, I would always see, girls in grade school, hanging out in groups, talking, socializing. They would have these groups talking about their hairdos, tying braids or doing braids. I'm not sure, like knot or tie. I don't really know the lingo for that, but they would talk about it. They would talk about their crushes, who they have an interest in. They're just very social growing up initially, and it helped to build that bond. But we didn't really have that much. It was more of we would constantly put each other down. We would fight each other. It's like a way of showing who's stronger, who's more dominant and stuff. Which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But we do so much of that we forget how to have a conversation, how to talk to each other, and work through all that stuff, and get past it eventually. Because I hope I'm not the only guy who believes this, but I don't want to fight with every guy I come across regarding my emotions, my thoughts, what I'm going through. Like, I am a rather emotional guy, and maybe more emotional than most guys might be. But I doubt I'm the only guy who's that way. And the more that we work together to provide that space of support and open communication, the more we can help others to work through those emotions and frustrations and normalize. Big thing is normalizing it. Normalize having a conversation. Normalize talking about emotions. And I know that's really hard because we aren't typically taught to do that. It goes against kind of our very nature of what we learn in media and in our social groups, whatever the case may be. It goes against our very nature in some ways, but we are capable of doing it. We are capable of having that conversation. We just need to learn. It comes with practice. The more you practice it, it's always saying that practice makes perfect. The more you practice it, the better you get. Just like with these videos. I initially was a bit hesitant and nervous about making videos, especially like this. I originally started this channel in the intent of just like making action videos, whether it's snowboarding or bicycling like I'm doing now, or other things. That was my main intent of these videos. But the more that I am getting involved with this program of mine, my graduate program, becoming a therapist, the more I feel the need to talk about this stuff and, to help get it out there, to put it out there and help others by speaking out about it. And, hopefully improve their experiences with what they're going through, maybe. Who knows? But every time I make these videos, I think about will it be perfect? Will I say the right thing? Will my thoughts come together effectively enough? Will I, go off on too many tangent stuff? But you know what? It's okay. It's all good. There's no problem with that. And the more I think about it, I'm like, viewers seeing this, see me go through this process, I feel like for some people it may help them, okay, it's okay for me to make mistakes. It's okay for me to struggle. It's okay for me to sometimes not say the right thing. But the important thing is to recognize when you may not be saying the right thing. And to work on that. If it's something you feel you need to work on, or just accept that, hey, it's a human moment. I'm human. I make mistakes. I'm a man, and I still make mistakes. I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. If we were perfect, we wouldn't be learning anything. We wouldn't have room to grow. And I, personally believe that we're always growing until the day we die. Once we're dead, there's no room to grow because, we're no longer alive to work on that. But while we're still alive, we still have the ability and, option to work on things. And that's what I hope to achieve, is getting better. Possibly getting better with these videos. The more I do this, I suppose I'll probably get better at, having my thoughts more succinct and, going in a more direct path. But, right now I might go off on tangents. And that's okay. Because that's kind of who I am. It's part of having imagination and just letting your thoughts flow and stuff. And that's a way of getting better at that, communication piece, and working through with being more comfortable with expressing emotions and thoughts, and hopefully work on having more of a healthy masculinity rather than toxic masculinity. Communication is so important in life, and we need so much more of it. We need so much more communication, especially right now with the pandemic. So many people are cooped up at home and spending much more time with people that they may not spend as much time with, and having to work out other ways of having those conversations and bonding with each other and stuff from a level that they weren't initially expecting or planned to or used to or comfortable with or knew how to and stuff. And so it's a whole new territory to work on. But that starts with the first step of trying and listening. The communication is a two-way path. You can't just talk. You gotta listen too. If you don't listen, you can't hear, you can't understand, you can't potentially relate, for that matter. And to be fair, I struggle with listening sometimes too. So it's not a perfect science. The more you work at it, the better you get. The more you take pauses to reflect, to listen, to process what you heard and stuff. It does wonders. There's so much you can learn, so many more bonds you can create, and establish what some people call a brotherhood. Establish that brotherhood by listening and relating to each other. Share with each other, have that conversation, listen and speak. Simple as that. But yeah. So if you like this video, please like it, support the fight against, or rather the understanding around toxic masculinity, because you can't have a fight, an effective, beneficial fight, without understanding. Gotta understand first before you can fight. And I'm going to provide some links below. There's some articles I found online that I feel like could be useful for those who are interested, to learn a little bit more about toxic masculinity and what some data is showing. And well, yeah, it's some interesting stuff. It really points out how much we need to work on having that talk, that conversation, and supporting each other. Biggest thing is just support one another, be there for each other. And I'm also going to link below as well, the link to psychologytoday.com, just because I want to provide that space for those who are not aware of mental health resources out there nearby them, to seek out help if you are a victim of toxic masculinity, that you can go out and seek help, and work through that, and hopefully move with time. Everything comes with time, to move past it and start living your life for you, not for your trauma, not for your experience and stuff. Don't stop letting them hold you back if that's the case, and retain control of your life, retain control of your thoughts, your emotions, your experiences, and let them strengthen you, hold you up, and help you live a more enriching, stronger, and empowering life. So yeah, that's about all I got to say. So hope you enjoyed the video, and look forward to the next one I end up making eventually. All right, peace.